We'll start with my art professor, who I felt like was just kind of just a rude person, you know? She had this very condescending tone to her. She didn't really seem to like anyone in class, really. And I felt like her classroom itself was just very boring. I know it's very easy to call a classroom boring because, I mean, look, it's school. Really, nobody really wants to be there. But I shit you not, there were just days in class where we wouldn't even draw or anything. We would just listen to her yap, essentially. We had art critiques during class where basically the professor had us hang up our artwork on the wall and she would give us criticism, you know, which, you know, that can be pretty scary to some of you at home, right? But that's not the part that really pissed me off. What pissed me off is that she would just take forever to get through every single drawing. She would mainly go over like a handful of students and maybe skim over some of the other ones, but she would just keep talking and talking, and sometimes for like half the class, and the second half of class she would just like explain what we would have to do in very like verbose detail. And because of this, there were just days where we wouldn't even do anything for the entire 3-hour class. It was 3 hours. 3 fucking hours. We had a Godfather movie to do something other than just standing there and listening to her talk about how to use a pencil. It kind of just felt like she was intentionally doing things to drag out the time so she could get it to like 3 hours, because it didn't really seem like she had enough activities for that time. Instead of just, I don't know, letting us out early. I mean, I guess like a cool instructor would probably do that, but I guess that's not proper professor etiquette in her eyes, I guess. My god, okay. So one time, I remember I turned in one of my assignments, right, online. I hanged it up on the wall for critiques as well, but I instinctively took it home without realizing that I should have left it in class, right? She also wants you to turn in the artwork physically on top of like what I just said before. She ended up giving me a 1 out of 50 on the assignment, claiming I didn't turn it in when I did. I turned it in. I have proof. I turned it in online. I hanged it up on the wall. You saw it on the wall, but I just took it home because I'm dumb, right? Whatever, that's on me. So after finals, I go to her and I give her my work in person, like because I turned in her portfolio because we had like a final portfolio, whatever. And I explained the situation and I asked her, hey, could you maybe like redo my grade? And this asshole, right? This degenerate scumbag, this piece of fucking shit has the nerve to ask me, why exactly do you want me to do that? Why would you ask your student who turned in the damn thing on time why they would want a better grade so I don't fail the class because of something stupid? Anyway, me and my friends gave her bad reviews online, so maybe she can learn from them. I don't know. Every day when class would start, he would always be like 5 to 10 minutes late. And when he got to the class, he would always be like kind of sweaty and like slightly out of breath. And then when we actually got inside the classroom, you know, he opened the door, we would have to wait like another 10 or so minutes because he would always say like, wait, I have to go do something. I'll be right back. And then finally, class would start like 20 minutes or something later. It was really weird. Also, every teacher I've ever had from middle school to college has adapted to some form of online program for them to assign work and give updates, things like that. But he didn't have that at all. Everything was on paper and you couldn't check your grade in the class. You had to ask him, hey, what's my grade? That really confused me. And also, he had a very quiet voice, so I couldn't really follow along to a lot of what he was saying. So I dead ass just had to confront him like the first day and be like, hey, I'm having trouble hearing you during your lectures. And he goes, oh, it's probably just the fan. And it's not the fan, but to not cause further tension, I was just like, all right, whatever. So I really wasn't learning anything in class at all, and the way he was teaching was kind of like unorthodox as well. I can't really describe his style of math, but I just thought it was like very strange. And it didn't help that we were doing a more algebraic style of statistics rather than the traditional style that a lot of my friends were doing. So it ended up making the class a bit harder, and he didn't really give us any resources to actually, like, you know, further our understanding with what we're learning. So I ended up just kind of having to, like, teach myself how to do everything. And in class, I would just like, I don't know, like read comics or something like that. So he wasn't really like a mean professor like the last one. He was just a pretty bad instructor. I checked his Rate My Professor reviews to see what people thought of him, and I couldn't believe how high his scores were. It was like a 4.5 or 4.7 out of 5 or something on the website. And I read those reviews and I was like, did we have the same professor? Like something was wrong here. I started thinking that, okay. I started thinking that he was like a fraud or something, right? Like I thought maybe listen. I thought maybe, just maybe, he killed or kidnapped the real stats professor and would just pose as him to live a normal life. Maybe that's why he didn't have an online program for us, because he's not enlisted as a real professor. Maybe that's why he was always out of breath or something, right? Because maybe he was doing some illegal business on the side, maybe some mafia business, you know what I'm saying? It really makes you ask, like, damn, why is he always so sweaty when he comes to class? You know, why does he always have to do, quote-unquote, something when class starts, you know? What is he doing? Who is he? It was Giguk! It was Giguk the whole time! That fucking red bastard! This might be completely different for you guys, but I've noticed some constants with teachers I've had in my time as a student, right? I've noticed that math and art teachers are usually very angry or stingy. PE and history teachers are kid diddlers. And English teachers are the greatest thing to grace the planet, right? Every English teacher or professor I've had, except for that one in senior year, we don't talk about her, has been just the most sweet, the silliest, most passionate person I've just ever met, bro. Especially my English professor. She was just so epic. We had a whole unit about the Joker. The movie, The Joker. And I aced it because I love movies, right? And she just had a really good aura. It really felt like my English professor was the only professor that really cared about me, you know? Like, I could die tomorrow and I don't think my art or stats teacher would really care. But my English professor would probably show up to my funeral, you know what I mean? She was indisputably the best professor I had during this semester of college. So my history teacher taught us for a few weeks and then got sick, and then we got a new one. I forgot her name. She was a bitch, though. She signed us like 7 assignments due on the same day. What a fucking asshole.
Is that dick good? Yes, kid. How good is that dick? Oh! How good is that dick?